All right. Gonna read a little opening remarks here. It says, be advised, the Board of Zoning Appeals acts as a quasi-judicial body, hearing appeal matters and requests for code exceptions. Testimony will be accepted from all persons interested in speaking on an item. Persons interested in speaking will be asked to approach the lectern and state their name, address, and their interest in the matter at hand. All testimony shall be directed to the chair, be relative to the item of business being discussed, and be presented with conduct appropriate to this setting. Any person exhibiting behavior deemed inappropriate by the chairperson of this body will be ordered to leave the premises. Once all persons wishing to speak on the matter have spoken, the floor will be closed and the board will deliberate amongst themselves before taking final action on the item. The order of business tonight is that the minutes will be approved or unapproved, I guess, from the previous meeting, old business, new business, other business, and then we will adjourn the meeting. The conduct is kind of a modified Robert's Rule of Orders that we'll be using for these items of business. The clerk will read the agenda item. Staff will comment and respond to questions from the board. Then the applicant will comment and respond to questions from the board. Then the public will be given an opportunity to comment. Public comment will then be closed. The board will deliberate on the item. During this time, the chair may request witnesses to return to the lectern to respond to additional questions from the board. Upon hearing a motion, the board will stop discussions on the matter, and the chair will ask if there is a second. Hearing a motion and a second, the chair will ask the clerk to call the roll, and a vote on the motion will be recorded. If there are no objections to any of that, I need actually all of you to please stand and raise your right hand. If you're going to be giving testimony tonight to be sworn in, let it be known that all the persons present to provide testimony at this 28th of February 2023 meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals hereby swear or affirm said testimony will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth. If you're in agreement, please say, I do.
I do.
Any opposed? Thank you. Just so that you know, we do have a piece of paper in the back. We would love for you to sign your name and your address, just so that we have that as a matter of record. And then also, we've started filming these, recording these, and they're going to be on the website later, so know that you're being recorded as well. So, all right, so the first order of business is to approve the minutes from the last BZA. Did everybody have a chance to look at those?
Could we do a roll call?
Oh, okay, yep. Would you call the roll?
All right. Mr. David Fischbach?
Here.
Ms. Shannon Brandon? Here. Mr. Wayne Davey? Mr. Wade Davis?
Here.
Mr. Nick Johnston?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll go back to the meetings. If you ever had a chance to look at those.
Yeah, I move to approve the minutes of the January 24th Board of Zoning Appeals meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, those have been approved. There is no old business that I know of, so we will move right into the new business with Resolution BZA 323.
A resolution requesting a variance for a gravel drive at parcel N44101480, 1990 Covington Avenue. The request comes from Elliott Land and Hardscaping. They've submitted a request for a variance from section 154.081 to construct a gravel drive on their parcel. They actually have two parcels. One hosts their main facility, and they own the adjacent parcel to the north. They are expanding. They're looking for more storage on their north lot to site some mulch. Gravel can be a touchy issue sometimes. The code requires pavement in all cases. This particular business owner has been before the board in the past to receive a variance for the gravel storage area to the east of the existing parking lot. What this proposal is a loop driveway that would connect only to their existing parking lot and not to the public right-of-way. So it would kind of come right from the center of their parking lot, loop north, and then what the property owner is doing right now is working with working to hire an engineering firm, because what we don't want to do is skip the step where we're looking at drainage calculations, regardless of the end material that you end up using. We want to make sure that the site is planned and engineered properly. So that is what the next step for the applicant would be. As far as analysis of whether or not gravel in this area makes sense, common themes in the past have been screening, very good. We don't want to have really large lots covered in gravel with no drainage or screening or planned for an upgrade in the future. So that's been denied or tabled or kind of trickled off before the BZA in the past when it's been proposed. In my estimation, the narrowness of this path is going to be a lot less visible to people than a really expansive, deep lot full of gravel. So my first assessment is that even without screening, it wouldn't really catch your eye because it's just a narrow band of gravel through the whole site. Eventually a building, not even eventually, but in the next phase of the property owner's proposal, he wants to build a storage building within that loop. And then part of the proposal is a thick band of landscaping along RM Davis to continue to screen, which would grow over time. And the applicant is here to answer any questions. Staff recommends approval of the request.
Any questions for staff?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
So it's a separate lot to the north, correct?
Correct.
And the gravel drive is going to connect to the existing drive on the lot to the south?
That's correct.
Okay. In the zoning code, is there a requirement about a setback for that? I mean, is it going to be in violation of the code by taking the gravel driveway over the property line?
So normally say the property owner owned a whole one large tract and they were submitting to kind of subdivide and they were replatting at that point. Usually at that point, I start asking questions about, we'll put a cross-access easement here. That way, and we don't associate that cross-access with going to get a variance for that setback. We just plan as if that's meant to be filled in so that you can connect. In this case, it's already separated this way, and what we were thinking about doing is replatting to erase that center lot line as that gets developed more on the north lot.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we don't have that kind of ambiguity in the future.
Okay, so you would require a replat?
At the point of the building construction, that's where I'm going to consider that question of how fully developed is that building, in which case the question becomes, do you want to allow that property to come separate and be sold off and then create problems in the future?
Right.
So that's what I'd like to consider. And if it's just an accessory building, usually what we don't want to see is it turn into personal storage in the future. You know, right now that's not a threat, but say 20 years from now, you plan for that at this point. So no, I haven't said to the applicant that that's going to be a requirement, but we have discussed the issue.
Okay.
I guess that was my thing about what the building was in the future, but maybe we can ask him, what that requires of us, or if there's different things that have to go through different loops first, I guess, right? Is what you're saying? Different hoops.
Do you mean for the replat or for the rest
Right,
of
for
the
it to
development?
be 2 lots, and then there's gonna be another building, but it's 1 lot,
The question
That's,
for
I guess,
me
what I
is
was
whether
looking at.
it's an accessory structure or not. So if it gets fully developed to be, it's got utilities, it can run separately, it makes sense to run separate, and then you connect to the street or have some provision for its own separate driveway, or you get a cross-access easement, you can solve the problems that way without needing the replat. But if it's just an accessory building, it's cold storage, we don't want it to turn into other storage, then we would require the replat. So that's kind of the decision point. And then, so the first step for this variance, the first step for the applicant is requesting this variance. Then we go on to zoning permits, where we look at all the particulars, and we'll discuss with the engineer who's looking at the site with him.
Anything?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to just say that the development on that corner looks really good. I drive by there quite regularly, and the grass is always kept up well. There's no weeds. and it looks like the type of place that we like to have around. So thanks for the work you've done on that lot.
Yeah, because I remember there being hesitancy when we did the gravel pit on the other side a few years back, and you guys have made that look great and, being a trusted person, so, yep, hopefully that stays the same way. Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Do you have anything you want to say? Not really. Okay. Well, then I will,
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the BZA
323.
323 and adopt the resolution.
I'll second that.
Hearing a motion in a second, would you call the roll?
Mr. David Fishbach,
Yes?
Ms. Shannon Brandon,
Yes.
Mr. Wade Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas Johnston.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. We'll move on to Resolution BZA 423 then.
A resolution to consider the decision of the enforcing official concerning a demolition order for 410 Wood Street. So I just wanted to note before Mr. Patrizio and Mr. Morrison got started that I had an addendum to the BZA packet. Aaron pointed out to me that we'd missed the start of this case didn't happen when the demolition order was sent. There were grass notices that went through the year prior, so these are those photos. There was one communication letter sent from the current owners or the current owner, heir of the deceased. His attorney sent us a letter in December, so I included that. And then the property was listed, so we used those interior photos as well.
Do you know when those were taken, those pictures?
The interior photos? I do not.
Okay. They weren't Aaron's getting inside there or anything, okay?
Nope.
Great.
My comments are going to be fairly, my name is Frank Patrizio, attorney for the city of Piqua, are going to be very simple. This is another building that we're bringing before you to affirm or deny the order to demolish. We bring all these cases before you, one, to protect the city and to make sure that our people are doing their jobs. And it provides us some protection in the court system by doing this. I don't think anybody's going to show up on behalf of the,
Oh, back there.
oh, we may have some folks, okay, and we'll let them talk afterwards, thank you.
Hello, Aaron Morrison, Code Compliance Coordinator. So as Kirsten said, this property has been an issue for a couple years. The city's been mowing it. As you know, in the past, our health department, when we had a health department, was in charge of the mowing. This past year, the development department took over the mowing throughout the city. The city mowed this property 3 times under the development office this in 2022, totaling a cost of $1,100. And as I said, there was 2021, the property was also mowed under the city health department. The property was vandalized and spray painted. Our best judgment was in the fall, sometime between July and September. And you can see the graffiti there in the pictures. November 18th, I received an email from Miami County Auditor, one of the workers at the auditor's office, that they were going to move forward with foreclosure on the property because there was back taxes on the property. Currently, there's back taxes of $5,100 and some change. So after we started receiving some complaints from the blighting nuisance condition of the property with the spray paint, some broken windows, the garage hanging open, no utilities, we condemned the property this past December the 20th, hung the sign up, order to vacate. At that time, we mailed out a condemned place card, order to vacate, a demolition notice, as well as the violation notice. We mailed all that to the current property owner, which is who also the property taxes are mailed to. So that was December 20th. December 28th, we were contacted from an attorney saying she was representing the estate and wanted to hold on the demo for possibly a month to 6 weeks. January 3rd, we received those condemned papers back in the mail that we had mailed to the owner. So no response from anybody. We got the paperwork back. January 12th, we received an email from a realtor saying they were waiting on an appraisal and that he wanted to list the property to sell it. January 26th, an email came in from the realtor and the attorney basically saying they were working with family out of town. They were still waiting on the appraisal. Again, the property's still setting, no action. February 7th, received another email that they're still working with this appraisal and everything. February 8th, I emailed the realtor, said, hey, we still have demolition orders on this. You're past your month, you're past your 6 weeks. We're going to continue to move forward. February 17th, Kirsten also emailed the attorney and the realtor that we were going to put it in front of you guys. And then the next day, the realtor replied that they finally got the appraisal and that they were going to list the house for sale by the end of the week. That was last week. The house was listed for sale. Not sure why. We did have several conversations with the realtor saying we had demo orders on it. We have started that process through the development office, and that's where we currently stand. So, any questions?
So you got the letter back that you sent to the owner,
Correct.
but do you placard?
It's currently placard, and you can, I believe you can see that in the pictures on the front door.
And if I'm not mistaken, if you can't get notice to a property owner via certified mail, that the International Property Maintenance Code says that you can placard the property for notice to the property owner. Is that a fair statement?
I believe you're correct, yes. So,
And when did you placard the property?
the day we condemn it, so.
In December?
December 20th, yeah.
Okay. So, with the vandalism, the graffiti on, the property, so do you know if there's been any issues with trespassing or anyone entering the property
Yeah,
that should not be there?
Yeah, we've gotten calls, that, the kids were getting in there. And I believe you can see in those photos that I believe the realtor took that the house has been.
So it's become an attractive nuisance?
Yes, yeah. And if I had to guess, I'm sure there were some kids that did the spray painting and not
Okay.
a local owner. So.
I guess, I don't know if this is a question for you or for Frank. Is there, since the letter comes back and you put a placard up, does that change any time frame of anything of when the placard goes up? Or is it still kind of the same as whenever the letter goes out, if that
Yeah,
changes
I mean,
timeframes?
it's still like when the letter goes out, we're still continuing in our process.
Okay.
So there was a change of ownership before or during the process of the condemning of the home?
No.
Okay.
So, our recollection is that this owner has passed away, and kind of like other cases in the past, once this property was condemned, You know, we went a couple years mowing it, and then once it was condemned, the next week, all of a sudden, we were notified by an attorney that there's an out-of-state family member. So I'm not sure where they were prior to that, but,
Okay.
so.
Any other questions for staff?
Not right now.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Yep. Is the applicant here? Approach the lectern, state your name and.
Hi, my name is Andrew Spade. This is Andrew Bonnet. We are under contract to purchase the property. We flipped about 7 houses last year. Would I be able to give you some pictures?
Sure.
Of some of our properties that we flipped? So we are from Sydney, Ohio. That's where we do all our business. That's a property that we flipped just last month. It's 815 Clinton Avenue. The property was vacant for over 5 years. There was vandalism, there were trees. And so this is not something that we're new to. We have a crew. We're looking to purchase the property to revitalize it, bring it back up. We can close cash probably within 2 weeks. We repaint the outside, redo everything, and then sell it to the retail market. And so we just want to, we're looking at new opportunities in Piqua. Like I said, we're in Sydney, but we saw this opportunity, and so we'd be happy to work with you if you guys would be willing to work with us. We don't, we're just kind of stepping in now, and so we don't, I guess there were some issues that you had with the previous owner, but, if we can close here in 2 weeks, I don't think that you'll have those issues.
So you guys found out about it through the listing
Yes.
just here
yes.
recently?
Yep, I'm a licensed realtor, and then I'm also like a licensed contractor, and so, yeah, we went through and we're under contract.
Okay. Anything you'd like to say?
Obviously, you're gonna be paying to tear this house down. We can pay, catch up the back taxes, revitalize it, flip it back to the market, which will also provide more housing for the citizens of Piqua.
Okay.
Yeah, because there is, I'm a realtor, and there is a lack of housing in Piqua. I do appreciate what Piqua has done. I mean, what Aaron has done and what you all have done is great, because Piqua has been making great moves to try to get rid of these nuisance properties. And I understand this is a nuisance. And so essentially you just need to get the right owner and the right people who can revitalize these properties. So that's all.
So once you close on the property, you pay the back taxes, how long will it be before the house will be ready to be inhabited?
We went through it with some of our crews, and we can get it done in 30 days. Yeah, we would start on it immediately. We'd get a dumpster there. This isn't a property that we're going to sit on for 6 months. We want to get going and get out of there, because obviously it's a nuisance. Somebody went through and they spray painted on it, and I feel horrible for the neighbors. It's not good.
So when you say it'll be 30 days, you mean 30 days to do the house, basically gut the house and take care of all the accessory structures?
Yes, 30 days after closing. So it'll probably take 2 weeks to do the title work, and then a 30-day renovation. So it's probably about 45 days all in.
Have you done any background, like liens? You've done all your due diligence there?
Yeah, we've submitted the paperwork to the attorney that's doing title for us, and they're working on the title search now.
So how long has it been under contract?
We just got under contract yesterday. So this is definitely, we saw it listed, we went through it real quick. This is, it sounds like the owner kind of sat on it for a while, and now he's willing to do something about it. So, we're entirely new to the process. This is, so.
Have you guys had a chance to speak with the city? Have you spoken to Aaron?
Yeah,
or-
I think we did. I think I did speak with Kirsten and then also Aaron about this matter. So I think we spoke yesterday or something like that. So
Okay. Great.
so yeah, we'd be more than happy to work with you if you guys are willing to work with us.
Great.
So you're saying about 2 weeks before you close,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So then 2 weeks from that, You would, okay, so by the time our next meeting rolls around, you'd be 2 weeks into repairs,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And even if you guys want to do something where we extend this out, you know, we're not trying to beat anybody up. Even if you just, you know, maybe you don't have to dismiss your action per se, or maybe, you know, Aaron doesn't have to, I don't know who's, maybe the city doesn't have to dismiss the action, but just extending it. And so, because if you guys tear the house down, we don't want it.
Right.
I mean, it's not, you know, the problem is, you know, you tear the house down and it's like, I'm a realtor, it doesn't make sense to build a new house there in that neighborhood when I can buy lots other places and build them.
So let's say you go in and you completely redo the house. What kind of price point are you looking at?
So this would probably be around 120,000.
And that fits with that neighborhood?
Yeah.
What's the current average value of the homes in that area?
I guess, so they're anywhere from about 80 to 120. We're gonna try to do it up a little bit nicer. We'll probably end up listing it for 120, but there's obviously room for negotiation. But we'll go in there and, you know, we'll make it nice. And I can show you the pictures of our other flips. We're no slumlords or anything by that means. We like to go in and do them right.
And this would be an actual, you're gonna sell it, you're not gonna rent
Yeah,
it?
this is not a rental property. Yeah, this would be, we would sell it to the retail market.
The house really isn't in bad shape. It needs a clean out, obviously. If a person died in there, they've got all their belongings. Need a garage door, and obviously we're gonna need to take care of the siding issue outside. But as far as the bones of the house and, you know, with flooring and paint, I mean, it can be a great house. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Maybe a shame to tear that down.
Yeah, and you know, there's so many buyers that are looking for that type of house and that price point. You know, FHA, USDA, it'd be a great home for a first-time home buyer or a starter home.
And would you make sure that it is for a first time, let me
Where-
rephrase that. Would you sell to someone who's going to reside in the property and not make it a rental?
I would love to. I mean, part of it is, you know, we're not allowed to discriminate, but yeah, we like, so the property that we just we showed you, that was sold to a first-time home buyer via a USDA loan. And so our properties, our end customer is not usually landlords, because landlords are always looking for a deal. They're not really looking for a house that's completely done. So yeah, we try to target first-time home buyers. Okay. Any questions?
I don't have any more.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Yep. Is there anybody from the public that wants to speak up?
I don't know if Mrs. Swinehardt's here on behalf of the estate or not, but I've got some questions on, my concern with these folks are, they haven't done the title search yet on the property. I don't know what the title's going to show, whether there's any liens on the property, including Medicaid liens, not from the current owner, but there also was a previous owner who passed away within a short time before, what was his name, Bowser, or what was? Yeah, I understand that, but there was also a prior owner that was living there. Well, he owned it joint survivor with someone else. Right, and whether or not she was in a nursing home or anything of that nature, there could be a potential lien on the property. We just were dealing with a case today with, actually it was my nieces looking at purchasing a house, and apparently there's some problem with Medicaid right now, and they're about a month and a half, 2 months behind getting those lien payoffs.
Ma'am, could you come to the lectern so we can hear you? I'm sorry. We just can't hear you back there.
Whoever did the Bowser deed, after his wife died, put another person's name on. I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
So it was tenants in common when he died.
They had an affidavit on when he died, he owned it fully. But before he died, he owned it joint survivorship with another lady. And my question is whether or not there's any liens, Medicaid liens on the property that you're aware of.
No, I am not, because,
Have you asked have you called up the Stan Evans yet, or to the Department of Tax?
no, you mean in Columbus? To
Yeah.
see if there's no, I haven't, but I can do that for you. And see, this is like, where's Waldo situation. Because the deed we saw had Mr. Bowser's name and another lady's name, and he wasn't married to that lady. And it was tenants in common, so there may have been a deed before that I don't know, because he was never married, and we did a affidavit saying he passed. This is like, where is Waldo? The son didn't use his dad's last name, and we couldn't find it. I had to publish it 3 times, and you know how long that takes?
Yeah, my problem is with what you're describing to me, if they owned it, if the previous lady and him owned it in tenants in common,
Well, I don't
they
know that.
transferred it by affidavit. If that's the case, then you have to go back and you have to transfer her interest through an estate proceeding also,
Yeah.
which these gentlemen's idea of getting this done in 2 weeks is
Well,
not going to happen.
I guess we can run that through the recorder's office, you know what I mean, and check on that. Because I just jumped in. I mean, you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
don't know his history.
I understand, and I appreciate what these gentlemen are saying, and they'd like to do it in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but I'm sitting here in my head, knowing what I do about titles, thinking that I'm not sure it's possible.
Well, I can ask the recorder's office, go back and ask for the deeds,
Okay.
how the deeds were.
So I have a question. We have a letter here dated 12/28/22 that says you were having discussions with the heir as to what to do with the property. So that's 2 months today. So it's saying, the resolution may take about another month to 6 weeks. So we're past 6 weeks, and it's still not resolved.
I know, he's in Nevada, and it's hard to find, doesn't return the calls, that kind of situation.
So he's a disinterested heir.
Except he wants the money like everybody does when somebody dies. He's all about the money. He didn't even know his dad was living in this property. He thought he was living in some other address. And we were telling him it wasn't worth very much, and he says, I know it's more than 100,000. And the address he gave us was where his dad used to live.
Okay, that changes things.
So we just, we know where he is now, and, we had an administrator, and, we had to go to court to get her appointed. This has just drug on, and then we thought we had an.
Right, and I think that's the city's concern. How long is this gonna drag
Well,
on and on and on?
I can,
You can't sell this, I mean, in all reality, if you're telling me you have title problems on this, you're not
I
gonna
didn't
sell
think
it in
so.
2 weeks.
I didn't think so till you brought that up. So, I can find out from the administrator who lived there, who he lived with before. But I didn't see that, but I'll take care of it. I'll figure it out.
I just wanted to make the comment that some of the communication we had with the realtor the selling realtor on this property was that we were uncomfortable with it being listed at all at this point in time. We hadn't heard a peep from the actual owner. We hadn't heard much yet. There was a lot going on that end. So the calls of what can I do with this property, it gets hard to answer those questions prior to some resolution on this end. And what we were really trying to focus on was whoever is responsible for this property now at this moment has an obligation to do something about the state that it's in now. So that doesn't, I think we all want a good resolution with redevelopment sometimes, but it doesn't seem feasible.
So
And I may have missed this, I'm sorry. Was there an administrator appointed, or was there a will?
Administrator.
There's no will. You can't sell this house without going through a complaint, without having a complaint for sale of real property.
Now, Andrew said I could ask for consent to sell.
You can ask for consents to sell,
He didn't say that.
but
when
you
I-
still have to have it appraised. You
We
have
did.
to have it sell at the appraised value.
80%, which is what
At
this is.
a private sale, you have to have full value. I just went through this.
Oh,
And the court's gonna require you to have it sold at full value.
well, it is.
Have you even started that process yet?
What, the consent to sell? I got that paper back from, the air. Is that what you're asking?
So, well, I mean, I got a lot of problems with this from a standpoint of, our office does a lot of title work, so I know what it takes to close a loan. And when you have a situation like this, the first thing we're gonna see is, was there a complaint for the sale of real estate? Were there waivers from the heirs? Who are the heirs? You then have to check to see if there's Medicaid liens, not only on this owner, but the prior owner. You also have a problem with you're not sure whether or not the prior owner transfer to this gentleman was done correctly, in which case you then have to open up another estate and you're gonna deal with another half interest separately. This thing could take 6 months to a year to pan out.
Well, it was my understanding that when the guy was married before, it was joint tenant. The wife died. He got the property. Then he started living with this woman, and her name is on there, but it's not joint survivor, so it's tenants in common.
And then you have to do an estate for this other lady. And you also have to then go through, you'll have to go through and get her heirs' consent, and then you'll have to start a whole new estate for her.
Well, I think some of this is a moot point
Okay.
on some of the things we're talking about. You know, I guess there's really kind of, in my mind, there's two things, you know, that are going on. First off, are you representing the heir? Like, I first,
estate.
like, say again?
The estate.
The estate, okay.
Not
It's like,
technically, I'm not
like, has the city actually found who the person is that we're sending these letters to and that we're doing those things? Is this lady here?
Yeah, she represents Mr., is it Bowser?
Yeah, his
Okay.
estate.
All right, just because sometimes we're not really even, like, I thought maybe you guys were with the family or something, like, technically, we should have had you in the public side of things and maybe not even have talked to you about this. You know, I mean, you could have, as a public, said anything, but if we give out information and different things, and so this is going down, you know, our job here is to see if, you know, the city, with what they want to do with it, did Aaron do his job? Are they going through the legal process and doing the right things? Do they jump through all the hoops? It's kind of a last resort for the owner, you know, to go through these things. And it sounds like the owners could care less, you know, until it comes down to wanting a paycheck at the very end of it, you know. And so then it becomes a question of what does the city really want to do with it, and did they do, you know, stuff through it? So you guys can fight about title liens all day long, I guess. You know, it comes down to, does the city want to give you 6 weeks or give you 6 months, or, you know, and at this point, we can have them come back up. I don't think they want to give you that time, from what I'm hearing.
I talked to Mr. Schmeezing, and Mr. Schmeezing advised that he's not interested in waiting any further on this. And based on my conversation with Mrs. Swinehart, I don't think these gentlemen could even buy it in 2 weeks, so we would like to proceed.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say? Obviously, you're representing the family, so.
Well, I don't think that is that much of an issue, and I know it could be done. I mean, you know, in 2 weeks. Why don't you let them try? And what's another 2 weeks in the world?
That's not my decision to make.
We've already been at this a year.
Well, I know, but, you know, it was just such a weird situation, you know, and, you know, I was always held up. Nobody even came forward.
Right, but with all due respect, I really think it's going to get a lot weirder. If we postpone this, it's going to get more weird based on what Frank is saying, and I'm ready to proceed.
But don't you think, Frank, that they would have, if there was a lien against the property, the state would have already, you know.
Medicaid liens aren't filed. Medicaid liens, you have to call the Attorney General's office and
So
get
that's
the
what I
liens.
was wondering.
They don't file anything. You have to actually notify
I know when somebody died.
Yeah.
She's actually representing
I know.
the family, so she
I know that route.
I can show her if I can, you know, but that's how that's go down. So, yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Oh, here's a question.
Would it be possible for me to, I guess, is there public remarks? I apologize, I guess I didn't realize the process. Is there a way that I could make another comment in the public section?
I mean, if it's quick. Yeah, because I don't, technically we haven't opened the public thing, so now that you're the public, I guess you get a chance to say something. Because I never opened the public, and so now it's public time, so yeah, come on up.
So yeah, I didn't understand that, there might be some title issues. I didn't know. I'm just a prospective buyer. We're willing to get the deal done, whether it means, I don't know if we could work with the estate and maybe get some of that spray paint cleaned off. We're here, we're willing to make the investment in the community. We'd love to work with you. I think it would just be a shame to tear down a house that can be restored. And then, the type of message that gives to investors, so it's just, it's up to you. But we'd be more than happy to work with the estate and try to make something work. So that's all I want to say.
Okay.
So thanks.
Anyone else? All right, well then we'll close the comment section and we can deliberate amongst ourselves or whatever you guys want to do. You guys have anything you want to talk about or? Okay. Well, I guess I'll listen to a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to uphold what's his title again? Code Compliance Coordinator's decision with Resolution BZA 4-23 based on the following finding of fact. He followed the steps set forth in the International Property Maintenance Code and the Code of the City of Piqua, and this property has become an attractive nuisance.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we're hearing a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. David Fishbach,
Aye.
Ms. Shannon Brandon,
Aye.
Mr. Wade Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholas Johnston.
Aye.
Okay. I would like to encourage you guys to keep looking for other properties, in the area. I think what you're doing is good. I think it was just too late in the process.
I appreciate it. I understand what you guys are trying to do.
Yep.
Definitely disappointing, but.
All right, thanks. All right, so then we only have one other order of business, Resolution BZA 523, where we need to go ahead and elect a chair and a vice chair for the upcoming year.
Any takers?
So I will take nominations.
I'd like to nominate Mr. David Fishbach to be chairman of BZA.
I second the motion.
You up for doing the vice chair again?
Yes.
Well, I'll nominate Wayne to be the vice chair. We have a second for that one?
I second that.
Okay. All right. So that will be the 523 then would be for David Fishbach to be the chair.
You gotta vote on it.
I am. I'm just going to say that out loud. And then Wayne Davies to be the vice chair. I'll take a roll call on that.
We'll do Wade Davis. Right? Okay, Mr.
What'd I say?
Does somebody want to make a motion to adopt this whole resolution?
Oh, that's what it was. I knew there was a step
Yeah.
there. I knew it was something that would be there.
I'll make the motion to adopt that.
I'll second it.
Mr. David Fishbach,
Aye.
Ms. Shannon Brandon,
Aye.
Mr. Nicholas Johnston,
Aye.
Mr. Wade Davis.
Aye.
And then other business. Really, this is just a simple thing. It's Fishbach.
Oh, Fishbach.
I don't really care, but it's been about a couple years. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to say something.
Please tell me. That's fine.
Just like fish and back and
Back.
yeah,
Okay.
it was back in the day Fischbach or German, more Austrian, but I just go with the old fish and the old back.
I can do that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. But I get it all over the place, so I'm just gonna throw it out there. Any other business? Anybody else would like to be called anything else?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, let's. Aye. Everyone. Yep. Good.
Aye.
Sorry.